So let's talk for a moment more about the general ledger layer within this. So if we moved out the expense subledger and moved it over to the business event capture layer or to the source system layer, then what about the general ledger? Well, there's an interesting question here in my mind about where we will end up in a number of years' time. We have a tradition, we've had a tradition for quite a while in the financial services world of building subledgers that maintain the financial details. We've done that throughout history and accounting as we've added the accounts receivable subledger, the fixed asset subledger, the payroll subledger. So this concept of building subledgers is something that's well understood and been used for centuries now. The process of building an instrument ledger, is an instrument ledger a subledger, or is it something different than that? Well, it could be something more than just a subledger. As a subledger, the instrument ledger could maintain contract details for some portions of the balances that we require. It doesn't need to maintain every balance. It could function like an accounts payable or accounts receivable subledger, where the balances in the general ledger, when more detail is needed, one goes to the instrument subledger to find those details. Doing so, though, means that we've delayed the process of consolidating or integrating the data for the entire enterprise view of things to a later process in our data supply chain. We've moved this problem out to the reporting layer, where often it ends up being done within a data warehouse of some sort. If we were to maintain the instrument subledger as a full book of record system, as something that maintains all of the balances that our enterprise is interested in, then we accomplish the integration task much earlier in the cycle that we need for the reporting processes. So when we get to reports that include detailed from the instrument ledger and summary level data that is not at a detail, we have that already accomplished and integrated within the instrument subledger. Doing so means that effectively our instrument subledger could contain the general ledger view of the world. The general ledger is simply an aggregation of data, eliminating the customer contract keys because we're using the chart of account, chart of balances in order to do that. So if we do so, then the general ledger, in a sense, instead of like the subledgers moving them to the left of the picture, we could move the general ledger to the right. The general ledger could actually be something that is a report that we produce when we need to see the aggregated view from the instrument ledger. Doing so reduces the complexity of our financial systems processes. It means we no longer have dual posting processes for the enterprise view. We do that posting process at the instrument ledger, and then when we need to aggregate to higher level views, that becomes something we can do. This doesn't mean that everything has to be done at the detail level. The instrument ledger could maintain summary level balances for which there's not a value for maintaining a lower level detail in at the customer contract, the vendor contract level. Those could be maintained and posted in aggregate in the instrument ledger. So it doesn't have to go extreme to one side or the other. We could maintain the instrument ledger, have multiple types of balances within it, and yet be integrated in a sense. And our general ledger will move to the right-hand side of the picture. This, I think, is a more aggressive stand than I found most organizations willing to entertain. But as we understand the principles that I think we're talking about here in my series of how to simplify our financial systems world, I think that ultimately people will wake up to say, that makes a lot of sense. And the cost of doing so will be reduced in maintaining one less complex component in my data supply chain. That's my ideas anyway. We'll see if they come to pass.